in three branches of government over the years, under several governments of Liberia. But the level of corruption in Liberia has accentuated under President George Weah's regime. To the extent that if you look for the 20 worst countries in the world, in every aspect of human development, Liberia is listed. If you say the 20 countries with the highest infant mortality rate, you will find Liberia. If you say the 20 countries with the highest maternal mortality rate, you will find Liberia. If you say the 20 countries that have a lot of people dying from curable diseases, you will find Liberia. If you say the 20 countries that have more children out of school than in school, you will find Liberia. If you say the 20 countries in the world that have the highest number of young people working in a day when they should be at work in the factory, in the stores, in the offices, or on the farms, you will find Liberia.
Why are you carrying a broom?
So this broom and all of these worst conditions are based on endemic corruption in public offices in Liberia. I strongly believe that government is not a place to steal, but a place to serve the people. Public office is not for public stealing, it is for public service to the people. And so this broom, for the endemic corruption in Liberia, I have decided to run for the office of the president of Liberia, and I want to clean corruption from Liberia. Without corruption, Liberia can go nowhere. So I'm going to use the broom as a symbol of sweeping corruption in Liberia, in every sector of Liberia. And the two branches of government are always controlled by the president of Liberia. The president of Liberia has strong influence here, to the extent that if there are bad laws that the president wants, this legislation that should be representing the people will pass it without thinking for the people, because most often they are bribed. They take brown envelopes to pass bad laws. Similarly,
So is politics dirty in Liberia?
very dirty in Liberia, it has been. And some of us...
What is dirty? Just explain to me.
Politics, governance itself has been really dirty. And because governance has been very dirty, those of us who challenge bad governance in Liberia have done so at the risk of our lives and losing opportunities. At the age of 22, in this country in 1978, for speaking truth to power as a young university student, I went to jail. Under President George in the military time in the 1980s, I was beaten on that university campus when I was a teaching assistant for standing on the side of truth and standing against bad governance. Under President Charles Taylor in 2002 as a human rights lawyer, defending journalists and human rights advocates in this country and poor people who were taken advantage of, or people politically challenged who had difficult cases because political cases were trumped on them and put in jail. And I was the first person in the country all the time, and I was speaking truth to power. I found myself in trouble. I was tortured severely overnight, and I couldn't walk for 3 months.
Now, has the recent sanctions put on 3 senior members of the Weah administration, what did you make of that move from the U.S. Treasury?
It is a welcome move in Liberia. All Liberians welcome it, except those ministers, their associates, and family members. But
when you say corruption is endemic, how do you clean what you describe as dirty politics?
Change is brought by a change agent. I am a change agent. I have spoken against corruption and all manners of bad governance. I've gone to jail for it. I've suffered. I've also served in government. I was an executive assistant to President Sawyer from 1990 November to 1994 March. And I was not corrupt. I was Solicitor General, I was not corrupt. I was Minister, I was not corrupt. So I do speak openly in this country that I challenge anybody throughout the length and breadth of this country to point out to one incident of corruption by Councillor Gongloe or abuse of office. So you can go to government without being corrupt.
I understand, but can you really... It's really loud?
It's not really loud, but it's there.
fine, it's fine. You can hear it? Yeah, no, then it won't work. Yeah, just stand by. We're just going to put something, there's a bit of weight on your microphone.
The boom too small.
These people looking at you here. No.
They are telling me that the broom is too small. They want a bigger broom. So they agree with me that corruption is too small. These are Liberians who say that the broom is too small. Then we need a bigger broom to sweep corruption for Liberia. So the question of sweeping corruption is something that everybody unanimously agree on. Not so? Yes. Everybody wants corruption, right? Yes. So this is a macrocosm of Liberia. This is my strategy for sweeping corruption. Now let me tell you, change begins with a change agent. Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. And listen, because I'm not corrupt, I've not been corrupt, I've not abused office in any manner, I'm going to use myself. Here's what I'm going to do. Corruption persists in Liberia is flourishing because of secrecy in government. I want to operate an open and transparent government. How do I do it? I will declare my assets when I take before taking office. My salary and benefits will be on the executive mansion website for all Liberians to see. I will require of that of all ministers and officials of government that I will appoint, and all the government employees' salaries and benefits will be on the internet. When I do that, here is the check. My strategy is that I will have the government auditing commission. Every 3 months, I call it periodic lifestyle audit, not institutional audit. They will come to me in the office of the president. They say, Mr. President, we know your salary and benefits and everything does not exceed $50,000. How come you just bought a $200,000 Mercedes in 3 months? If I can't explain, then I have gone against what I promised the Liberian people. I will resign from office. But I will not do such disgraceful thing. Therefore, if any minister in my government does that, can I explain a $300,000 house in Benin? I will displace it immediately and turn it over to the Anti-Corruption Commission for full investigation and prosecution.
Why is it so endemic, corruption in Liberia? What's wrong? What's not functioning? And why are people going out on the streets now to protest against it?
Because the laws are there. Look, under the penal law, we have chapter 12 of the penal law that is for promoting integrity in government. But there has not been respect for the rule of law by those who have governed this country. It is lack of respect for the rule of law that is stimulated by greed and selfishness that is causing corruption to be so endemic. And let me tell you, because corruption has been so endemic in Liberia, we fought war. In fact, there was a military coup, and the major reason for the military coup in 1980 was rampant corruption by the one-party government that was in power, the True Party. Then we fought 14 years of fratricidal civil conflict because of bad governance. It was not because of tribal differences.
Yes, but George Weah says that he is fighting corruption. What do you have to say to that? That he's getting rid of dirty politics.
It is the biggest untruth that I've heard from any leader in this country. I tell you, do you believe that George Weah is fighting corruption?
No way.
No way. Not me saying it. They, Liberians, from all over the country, they represent the 15 countries of Liberia. They said, with a chorus right now, I just asked them a question. I didn't suggest the answer to them. They said unanimously, no, President George Weah is not fighting corruption. That's your answer.
When you have dirty politics, what happens to the country? What clean politics look like?
Clean politics thrives on freedom of assembly, freedom of expression, and restraint by the government in power to respect the rights of the people to speak freely and family. Speak truth to power because the people are the custodians of power. And so That is how clean politics go. Dirty party politics lead to disappearances of people, unexplained deaths, and the killing of people under mysterious circumstances. That's what dirty politics does. Trumping up charges of people and putting them in jail arbitrarily. We don't want that. We've been through that.
Why now?
Why now?
Why this protest now? Why sweeping before now?
You know, I'm always loyal to two things: my country and my conscience. I'm now 66. I do not want Cllr Gongloe, the human rights advocate, the advocate of good governance, to reach 90 years old helpless and be judging myself. So if you know you have the answer and you have the commitment to change things, why didn't you step forward? I am stepping forward, so I don't feel guilty when I'm helpless.
Thank you, Councillor. We want to see you groom a little bit. I also wanted to have a shot of people looking and from behind. You can do a cutaway. We're going to talk. Cutaway from behind them, and face, and then sweeping. The interview's not over. Tell us.
You can interview me for 5 hours. I never get tired talking about Liberia.
It's an ambitious plan. A promise that has been made by other politicians. Why are you? What's the difference here?
My track record. When I was a student, me and other student leaders used to challenge government for bad governance, and we should speak truth to power. And we were always told, when you have the opportunity to be in government, you do the same thing. I remember that. And the 3 positions I've served in government, I was not corrupt. I even became president of the Liberian National Bar Association and raised the standard of administration in the bar. Because of the level of administration that I introduced to the Liberian Bar Association, the bar was established in 1907. It was not until 2019, 112 years later, that we were able to host an international conference.
The broom is a metaphor, but in practice, what's the broom? How are you going to clean it? What's the broom? Is this the justice system? What's the broom?
I'm going to clean, starting from the executive mansion. Everything in this country is controlled by the office of the president. The office of the president controls the legislature, controls the judiciary. We start from there. And then from there, we will come to the legislature. And then to the judiciary. Because this branch of government makes the law, that branch interprets it, and that branch enforces it. And corrupt laws interpreted in a corrupt way leads to, and then you have a government that does not care for the people sitting in the mansion there, will not enforce the law consistent with the law itself. And that goes against the people. And we have suffered for it. More than 300,000 people dying in this country because of bad governance based on corruption. And the question in your mind is, so what can you do as an individual? Every change in the world that I know of has been initiated by an individual. So Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore took over a country that was nowhere and transformed it to a first world country. UAE used to be a desert. I listened to a prime minister who was asked the question, how come a desert that was a barren land here was transformed and you have skyscrapers and has become a destination of tourists? And he said one word: leadership. And I think he meant good leadership. Good leadership led by an individual can transform a bad situation, and I believe that I can do it.
Councillor, can we see you sweep? Actually doing the sweeping.
I am sweeping.
Without
I will
talking.
sweep clean. We'll sweep corruption for Liberia, and Liberia will prosper. Will be peaceful.
Can you show
and
us?
progress continuously.
So can you do it without talking? Just sweep, and we're gonna. You need to allocate from this side and from the back and from on this side. And people filming, just 1 second.